Death Stranding is a very well made game. You can see that a lot of love and care went into making this beautifully realized world. It also comes with some interesting gameplay ideas that make you think differently and that have an impact on the stealth and combat. Yes, there is combat in this game, but it's very limited and it actually really opens up 15 to 20 hours into the game. Like, I got my assault rifle after 20 hours of playing. I think you can get it earlier, but that kinda shows you how slow this game is and that the combat is really not the focus. Still though, I would argue that it sometimes takes way too long to get to the good parts of this game. I now finished Death Stranding in around the 40 hours. I will not share any story spoilers in this review whatsoever, don't worry. And I will only share footage of the first 3 chapters, while there are way more after that. So let's get into it. Would of course be awesome if you could leave a like on the video, as it shows your support. And let's go. It's very surprising how well the game and its world is introduced in the early part of Death Stranding. After watching the many trailers, it's hard not to be confused, but the opening part of the game actually does a great job of setting up the story and this weird but fascinating world. It's very remarkable how the many trailers that we saw over the last couple of years beautifully follow each other up. It's pretty clear that Kojima kept it fake on purpose, although no real surprise there. Either way, when you see everything in the right order while playing, it actually makes way more sense. And the brilliant presentation and performance from the actors really helps with that too. You will quickly forget the other roles that these familiar actors played because of their very believable representation of these characters that are all surviving in this brutal post-apocalyptic world. Really, the cutscenes are some of the best I've ever seen in any game, and there are actually quite a lot of them throughout the game. In the opening part, you will mostly be watching instead of playing. Not a real surprise if you played any other Kojima game. And it can get emotional too at the end of the story. There's one cutscene, again I won't spoil it, but that really got me. This story overall takes different turns and characters become way more nuanced all of a sudden. It's very well realized, and that is mostly thanks to the very well made scenes. You are Sam Porter Bridges and you have to reconnect the world by going through a big open world and delivering packages to the many so-called knots that are basically shelters where survivors survive. And then after you brought the requested goods, you can reconnect the knot to a big network that lets everyone connect to each other and share knowledge and research. And I will just leave it at that, like that is why you go out into the world and explore, because you want to reconnect everything. But there's of course way more than meets the eye at first. And I love how the game already gives you hints early on as to what is going on and what might happen in the future. But yeah, speaking of gameplay, most of your time in Death Stranding is spent taking an order from point A to point B, and then travel through a big, mostly empty open world, sometimes accompanied by one of the many licensed tracks that will randomly start playing. And I agree, that does not sound or maybe looks that exciting, but the game does try and make it more appealing, and there are a lot of layers of depth that you can uncover if you choose so. What I really like is that almost every time you deliver cargo to a new location, you unlock an upgrade that makes your next delivery easier, like the ability to fabricate your own shoes. And that's great because your shoes will be destroyed over time, so to be able to put on a new pair is really great. Another meaningful upgrade is the power skeleton, and this is one of the few kind of suits that you can wear, so in this case you can then carry more cargo. You namely have a limit, and the more you carry, the harder it is to stay balanced and the slower you move. And this system is actually really cool because apart from the cargo that you need to deliver, you also carry all your equipment and your items on your back. Like, sure, there are extra tool slots for your boots, for example, that you can put on a clip, and there is a very easy way to let the game automatically sort the items so you maximize your load. But overall, every weapon or item, like a ladder that can help you cross a river, for example, or get higher up, is an extra package that you have to carry. So it's smart to carefully select your items in the preparation preparation menu before you go out on a new job. But this inventory management system also has a very interesting and awesome effect on the combat or while sneaking through a tight area. Because if the area is too small and your cargo hits the ceiling, then it will fall on the ground, so you have to grab it again. So while in other games you have X amount of slots in your inventory and you maybe only notice it when you carry too many items, here every new item is an extra box on your back, so you really have to keep that in mind when approaching different situations. In combat, this means that enemies can simply slice that weapon from your back, so then you cannot use it unless you pick it up again. The BTs that you will encounter often will also let you drop everything when they catch you. So then it's your decision, do you go back and grab everything again but risk getting hit by the BT, or just leave it and go to safety. It's a really awesome system that I wanted to see more of because there's just very limited combat and there were just a few areas where I really had to watch my cargo because you're mostly in big open spaces. And the kinda empty open areas make sense for the setting of this game, but it does make the trip from point A to point B less exciting. Luckily, there's another element that makes Death Stranding stand out, because apart from connecting the nodes to a network so the people in the shelters can interact with each other, you also enable connectivity with other players in that region. Meaning that you can see things that other people build, like post boxes where you can store items, or bridges that can help you get across to the other side, or ladders too. But it also means that there's an extra meta game, so that when you put down a ladder, you are able to dismantle it, so then you can use it again, or you can just leave it there so then it appears in other people's game and then they can use it and they will be happy about that and then they can give you likes. I now got more than 600,000 likes because I helped a ton of people out. And that's of course a fun thing to brag about. Like, it's really fun to see the likes come in after being absent from the game. It's like the first thing you see when you enter the game after a while. And you can of course also give likes to other people, and the more likes you exchange, the more of these structures and things will appear in your game. So instead of delivering cargo, because besides the main objectives there are also a ton of side objectives that you can do if you want. No, but besides that, you can also work on building a road, for example, by bringing materials you collected to a paved station. If you don't have enough materials to finish the road, then there are totally chances that other people will finish the job for you by delivering the materials themselves. And then you suddenly have a road in your game that really helps you out a lot. It's really an awesome collaborative effort to make the delivery of cargo easier in the future. So yes, I also totally recommend that you play the game online, because it will be way more of a pain without the free motorcycles and other structures from other players. This did not stop me from sometimes feeling frustrated though, or bored actually at times, because when you just delivered a few packages to learn that you need to go all the way back to that same location you just came from, then this game will just feel more like a job instead of a fun video game. There are just too many what feel like side missions or errand jobs that you need to complete to advance the main story. And don't get me wrong, the core gameplay of having to carefully deliver cargo and use the different tools to your advantage and figure out a great route is a ton of fun. But when you are asked to go to the same locations via the same empty roads over and over again while you just came from that location, then it's just hard to get excited about that. There are things that make the empty world feel less empty, and those are the BTs, for example, that will appear when it rains, but the grenade you get early on will help you in every encounter with these ghost-like creatures for the rest of the game, so they are not really an issue anymore. Just like the mole enemies that you can easily take out with your fist and later on take on with your gun. I sadly cannot show you any footage of that in the review because you unlock it way later on in the game. And that's again quite sad, because shooting a gun is a ton of fun and it actually makes these encounters more fun. And during the story, a few times you will go to the more combat heavy focused locations that I won't spoil, but that make the other awesome gameplay ideas like the inventory management and the online connectivity shine as well, and I just wanted to see more of that. Now we got two types of encounters that never really change over the course of the game. And it just takes very long to get to these awesome moments that are totally there. So it's kinda hard to recommend this game if you wanna get into the action immediately. And I know that this is not what this game is about. It's more a survival puzzle game with some stealth encounters. I just want to make sure that you go in with the right expectations. And you already noticed it, right? The game is beautiful to look at. And the engine that was also used for Horizon Zero Dawn shines once again in this game. Like, I never experienced any technical issues like frame drops or lag. The game is very well optimized on the PS4 Pro, but I would imagine that it's just the same on the standard PS4, just like it was with Horizon Zero Dawn. And speaking of that game, one of my favorite games of all time, there are also some awesome Horizon Easter eggs in Death Stranding. I won't spoil them all, but seeing a tall neck all of a sudden as a hologram is just awesome. And Herman Hulst, the boss over at Guerrilla Games, is also trapped in a shelter, so you can meet him. If you are up for something different, have patience and love Kojima, then you will very much like this game. It was always clear that Death Stranding would not be for everyone, and it's really true. You need to grind to get to some of the good parts, and that is sad because I think that if Kojima put more emphasis on the combat in combination with the inventory management and online elements, then this game would already be different enough and I think more fun to play overall. And the short but very awesome combat heavy focused parts that Death Stranding has really demonstrate that. Like, there are totally cool parts in this game, but there are just way too many side missions and errand stuff that you have to complete to get to that good stuff. I think my tips will totally help you to make sure that you deliver your cargo as efficient as possible. I will have them up around the launch of the game for if you decide to pick it up. Let me know if this sounds like something you would like. I'm really curious, and if you got questions as well, drop them down in the comments down below and I will totally try and answer some of the most upvoted ones. Like this video to support the channel and totally subscribe for way more on Death Stranding. And check out my previous video on why the PlayStation 5 is already a must buy by looking at the very promising looking lineup. For now, I will speak to you next time and goodbye.